Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back. Beautiful, nice, sunny, hot as heck day. I'm definitely going to the pool later. Anyways, so archery 101, traditional archery, stuff they don't tell you, right? Well, let's go through this. Number one, they don't exactly tell you how snug to put the bolts on when you're assembling your traditional bow. There's a takedown style. They don't tell you that. The instructions might tell you just till they're snug, maybe. You might get that much. But YouTubers don't tell you how snug to put it. They also don't tell you what to do in case they get stuck coming off. Okay? Now, easy. Find a pair of pliers that are not going to harm the bolt tops and just gently squeeze and break it free and then do the rest by hand. Too simple, okay? That's one way. Another way is if you have a built-in hole through the bolt, you could jam an Allen key through that hole and crack it free as well. All right. Now these are ones with hand tighteners, and some hand tighteners also have a backup Allen key system, like my Aspen bow does. So I don't even need to worry about pliers with it. I do with my Nighthawk. My Olympic bow that I just got, it has the hole through the bolt, so I can use an Allen key through there that'll fit the hole. But my Aspen bow, it has the Allen key backup, so I can just use an Allen key to undo it if they're stuck and I can't undo them by hand, because they do tend to tighten up with when you're using it. So it's kind of one of those things, right? So that's a pretty easy fix for any one of those styles. And if you're straight Allen key only, well, it's on and off with an Allen key. But how tight do you put it with an Allen key though? Well, no much tighter than by hand. So my guesstimation at best is going to be put the bolt in until it stops turning, right? So the limb is sitting flush like it should, and then just give it another half turn, and that should be more than enough. Okay, and you're good to go. And then you just reverse to undo it later and take your bow back apart. Okay, too simple. What's the other thing you're not told? Waxing your string. Nobody talks about waxing the string so far on YouTube. I've watched literally dozens upon dozens of channels, and I've watched a lot of videos on their channels in regards to trying to find out all this information too. Now, I already knew you had to wax your string. Now, I'm not stupid. I mean, I've known that for decades. But the thing is most of you don't. And the instructions a lot of times don't cover, by the way, you should also wax the string. All the instructions gave me for my Olympic bow was twist the string about 15 to 18 turns, string it up, and away you go. They don't talk about, oh, you should let it sit for an hour and because the string has to stretch. But they do tell you the string will stretch, so you do need to turn it either way. So the string has done quite a bit of stretching actually, just being strung up the last couple of days, because I'm trying to get it to maximize so that it finally settles. And I think we're about there now, or pretty close anyway. I only had to give another, I think, 8 or 10 twists this morning, lock it back up, and yep, we're back to where we were at 8.5 inches, which is kind of like the minimum, right? Now, you got to keep it at wherever you set it that is comfortable for you, okay? But you do have a minimum amount and a maximum amount, okay, that you can turn that string to compress your limbs into said brace height. And brace height is going to affect your bow performance, okay? It's also going to affect your poundage, okay? Now, giving extra twist to the string does not give you more poundage at your draw length, okay? That's one thing it doesn't do, okay? But if you're, let's say 28-pound limbs, that's what I got with this Olympic bow. I go to 8.5 inch brace height. Do I get 28 pounds at 28-inch draw with this bow? No. Why not? Well, that's because it's a 32-inch max draw bow, so I need another 4 inches of pull in order to get it there. Now, even if I change my brace height, which adds more preload to the limbs, I'm still only going to be going from that point of difference in height, okay, from front to back, or depth, to my anchor point. That doesn't change, therefore the poundage also doesn't change, okay? The only time the poundage is going to change from my draw length is if I draw further. And if I draw further than my draw length, which I could do, okay, what's going to happen is, well, I'm not going to be a very accurate shot because I'm not even on an anchor point anymore, or the anchor point where I'm supposed to be. And I won't be able to keep it consistent either, which is what you're supposed to be, because that all affects your accuracy. That's why there's no such thing as an accurate bow. And I have a video exactly titled that way, no such thing as an accurate bow. So, because it takes more than just a bow to be an accurate tool. It takes a lot of other things. All right, here's another thing. Let's see you bought a bow, because this happened with a review I saw on Amazon on a Black Hunter bow. And I've got two of them in my shopping list. One's the recurve, one's the longbow. I've heard a lot of fantastic stuff about it. I've heard some bad stuff about it too on YouTube. And I've read a lot of the bad reviews. All right, and I've read the good reviews. And the good reviews do outnumber anything bad. And a lot of the bad reviews are already a number of years old, and the company has more than likely fixed the problem, because it doesn't seem that of recent even anybody's had any issues. So they may have fixed the problem. But they were getting delam issues, cracking limb issues. They've had riser split issues, and delaminations on the riser on top of being just snapping in half somehow. They've had the very top reinforcement of the tips actually let go. Well, if a tip reinforcement lets go, it's only glued on anyway, so it was a piss poor gluing job, okay? And this one person tried to make it out like, well, it's because of the higher pressure limbs. Those bows are made, by the way, by Black Hunters, okay, from whatever companies, because, will the real Black Hunter please stand up? We have no idea who the originator is anymore, okay? But either way, a lot of companies are doing it, and they're doing different poundage capabilities, okay? And some of them are doing these things in upwards to 60 pounds. So this person ordered a 45 pounder, got a 50 pounder. Well, did that 50 pounder happen because they believe the scale, okay? Did that 50 pounder happen because, well, they're brand freaking new limbs, so they're going to read a higher poundage sometimes? It can happen. Okay, the particular bow they bought maxes at a 28-inch draw. Okay, there are Black Hunters that go to 32. Hers went to 28. Okay, she ordered 45. When she draw weight tested it, it went to 50. So what? You got a 5-pound bonus, and you're crabbing about this? Well, you should be getting what you pay for. Well, you did, and then some. And besides, that 50 pounds. That's a walk in the park. That's not going to stay that way for long, because once you start using that bow a lot and flexing the limbs and breaking in the limbs and everything else, guess what? That poundage of 5 pounds, some of that is going to disappear, because right now you got brand new stiff wood, stiff fiberglass. Nothing has been bent back and forth. If you take a piece of metal, hell, you take a piece of wood and you really bend it back and forth, guess what happens? Eventually it's going to snap, right? Well, in this case, we're not going to worry about a snappage, because that's not a thing with this, because of how much you're bending and the way it's being bent. It's not in danger of snapping, although they've had problems with that, but they've probably resolved those issues because, well, quality control, piss poor, glue up job, crap can happen, okay? But it's a rare occasion, okay? There's more good than bad on these bows. Same with the Samick Sage, a lot of the same issues. Same with a few other bows out there, a lot of the same issues. So it's not just isolated to Black Hunters. So, you know, it's just a thing, right? Some people get stung, they go off the deep end, and they just call it crap. And there are people who believe, oh, thank you for the review, that was so helpful, now I'm not going to buy it, I'll go buy this instead. And then they go and buy that, and, well, they don't read those reviews either. They just go out and buy it, and then that turns to crap on them, maybe. Or maybe they do get a good one. Maybe they should have just stuck it out with the Black Hunter and got it replaced within the 30-day return window. That would have made some sense, wouldn't it? Because the company is going to come good. And if you have a problem with the seller, then you go direct to Amazon at that point, because not all these sellers are nice people. Some of them are real jerkwads. Okay, but it also depends on how you approach the jerkwad, whether or not they become a real jerkwad or not with you. So far my experience has been fantastic either way, so I can't complain. But, and we still don't know if I'm going to have any of the problems with my bow that I got, my Olympian bow, because we do know that it did have one review where it suffered a delam on the riser. Okay, the guy had not strung it up. He was 3 days past his return window by the time he did string it up to go shooting with his kid. So he strings it up, puts it on the table, goes to help the kids set up the targets and stuff, comes back in the room, and the riser split. Well, there went their day of fun. So had he strung it up a few days previous, he was still within the return window. He could have had it returned for an exchange or a refund and gotten something else. Well, now at least he can fix it. So he can just take some sandpaper, clean off where the glue was, okay, on both ends, re-glue, clamp it together, and voila, problem solved. Will it split in another spot? Who the hell knows? But it did split in that spot, so it ain't going to split there twice. That's for damn sure, okay? Guaranteed, especially if you use the proper glue, all right? Anyways, and that would be either white Bond Fast or carpenter's glue would be my two recommendations. So, but don't use crazy glue, it won't work. Anyways, but you're not told to wax, you're not told about how much to torque bolts, and sometimes how to even get them off when you do have a problem. You're not told the entirety of why you're twisting the string. Well, we've already gone through that on a video. It's part of setting your brace height, but it's also, it adds extra protection to the string, and you need to shrink the string in anyways to make it shorter for your freaking brace height to happen. So yeah, you got to twist the string, okay? But it's not going to give you any power benefits. So if you're looking at that aspect, then don't, because anybody who says shortening the string gives a bow more power, they're a fool, okay? Like, they are so out to lunch. It does not happen. Trust me on this. Been there, done that, wrote the book and burned it, okay? Because believe me, I've tried a lot of issues. Now, here's another thing I ran into. Somebody was an absolute fool on because, well, there is a couple of bows I've seen on the market that are takedowns that you can adjust the limb weight ratio. So let's say you bought a 40-pound bow. You can back off the limbs, but they have an adjuster screw so that the limb stays balanced on the release, okay? But you can back them off, which lowers the poundage, kind of like a compound bow, okay? And it still has to be the same precise setup either way as a compound. It must be the exact precise distance for each limb. Get a micrometer, you're gonna need one, okay? Anyways, so a few people, though, have believed from other people that this particular bow, you could just loosen off the bolts a bit and drop some weight off. Well, in realistic way, yes, you could. However, you should never do that because those bows are not designed to withstand that, okay? They will fail. And of course it did. And it's like, told ya. Anyways, don't screw with stuff like that. You clamp them down. Unless it's in the instructions somewhere that you can adjust the limb weight by adjusting the bolt, don't freaking do it, okay? Because you're going to have problems like the person who tried did, and the results were very, very bad. So let's just not go there again, okay? What else aren't you told? Oh, I'm sure there's a lot. Well, you're not told exactly what you're in for with traditional archery, that's for sure. Now, I'm going to say this. If you have a bow that supports, I'm at 13 minutes? Okay. If you have a bow that supports mounts for like a burger hole, that can support different rests, among other things. You can also put on a quiver, a bolt-on quick release quiver on a lot of bows that are takedown traditionals. Then you got your pure, unadulterated traditional bows like your Black Hunters and others designed like it. You are shooting off the shelf, either with a little furry guy or bare shelf. Either way, you have no other options available. You are either gap shooting or traditional. That is it. There is no way to put a sight on those things, okay? So you are screwed, blued, tattooed sideways and backwards. So just keep in mind, if you buy a Black Hunter, these are full-out traditional shooting bows only. The only way you can get a quiver on there is a limb mount quiver. And I think they're fugly, but that's my opinion. Some people like them, but I don't. I'd rather have a back quiver, thanks. Anyways, But on any of these bows, you can definitely put on string dampeners and stabilizers, except of course, obviously the Black Hunter you can't put on a front riser stabilizer because there's no support to screw it in. So you're screwed on that again too. So, but other bows do have all these support features, because if you got a burger hole and quiver mount or sight mounts, you've likely got a stabilizer front mount as well on that riser. So you can put stabilizers on, which do actually help, by the way, for more than just dampening. They also help with balance if you get the right setup going. So loads of different information that you're not actually explained to. Instructions don't go through. Hell, they didn't even tell me how to actually assemble my T-bar sight for my Olympian bow. They just said, here's a pile of parts, here's the parts list and all the pieces you should have. There's a pretty picture of what it should look like when you're done. Thank you. That was so freaking not that helpful. And it turns out it's a right-handed sight that can be flipped to left-handed. And so now my numbers are all upside down instead of right side up for my yardages. And it's like, they couldn't even do the friggin' ruler scale on the front of the sight for a left-handed person. It's a left-handed bow. They should have had a left-handed T-bar in there with the proper numbers in the right order. No, they did not do that. Now I got to think upside down. Damn them. Okay, so, and then to find one that is proper is about $200. So I'm not buying one. Anyway, so these are things you got to know, right? It's just, you're not being told, right? And it's sad. It really is sad how much you are not actually being told. And so I thought I would share what I know so far. I'm sure we'll have more videos like this as I find out more stuff that you're not being told too. This is what I've got so far for you today. And I know it's a long video, but I had to do it in order to help you guys out. So, because you need to know this information. Anyways, until next time, see ya.